Hey guys, Jordan with TYT and TYT Politics. I am here as always from the airport where I'm delayed for an hour. Hopefully, I won't be traveling for 20 hours again like I did last week. I am heading back to New York after a good trip in Texas. You could check out the videos I've been doing here covering the Trans-Pecos pipeline up on youtube.com/TYT Politics. Now, I know you all have been anxiously awaiting the Corruptee Awards. That's right, the Corruptees. This is the most corrupt individual or organization of 2016 from the mouth of yours truly. I've been losing sleep trying to decide who should win the Corruptees. That is the most vile, corrupt, dishonest, disgusting political figures of 2016. I usually try and avoid a tie because I think it's a cop-out. But I do have a tie for the 2016 corruptees. So I want to hear who you guys think is the most corrupt before I give mine, because obviously I care what you think. I mean, how many nominees could you have? I mean, between Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, obviously the DNC, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Kelsey Warren of Energy Transfer Partners, the Morton County Police. I mean, Scott Walker. There is literally just a plethora of options. Clinton Foundation. I mean, come on. So it's been tough. I've lost a lot of sleep over this. Might even lose some friends over this. But I think it's important to really nail who the correct award winner is. So, without further ado, drum roll please. I personally like double D's normally, but in this case, I don't like double D's. The winner, my winner, Emma will give hers either today or tomorrow. The winner of my 2016 Corruptees is double D. That's Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Donna Brazile. I'm going to start with Debbie Wasserman Schultz because she came first, and then work my way to Dirty Donna, as I like to call her. Now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, from everything I know, when she got to Congress, was actually a progressive congressperson. She used to be for single-payer health care. She used to actually express progressive views. I don't know if the Florida Sun got to her. I don't know if the money, the donors got to her. But she became a complete shill. So for those of you who don't know, in 2008, she was the co-chair of Hillary Clinton's campaign for president. So that's why it seemed a little conflicting when President Obama would name her to be the DNC chair, because everybody knew Hillary Clinton was going to be running again. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz was named the DNC chair. Besides being a walking talking point machine, terrible on television, if this is your representation for the Democratic Party, not a good thing. I remember when I used to work at MSNBC, I would see her on all the time. They might as well have cleared a cot for her in the green room. She was on so much. And she's just awful. She just talks in platitudes and no substance. Just not a good, authentic speaker. But she was the DNC chair, so Hillary Clinton, the coronation was out there. You have all the superdelegates going to Hillary Clinton, and the DNC set the primary schedule. For those of you who don't know, the parties set the order of the primaries, so which states go first, the dates, all that, Super Tuesday states, all that. So coincidentally, they put most of the southern states, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, put most of the southern states up front in the beginning of the primary process, presumably because she knew Hillary Clinton would do pretty well in southern states. The Clintons, for whatever reason, that's another story, were strong among African-American voters. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, to help her candidate, again, she's supposed to be neutral as DNC chair, put states like Mississippi, South Carolina earlier, Texas went earlier, all these states that she knew Hillary Clinton would do well. There are also more conservative states, and obviously Hillary Clinton's a conservative. So that was step one of her corruption. Step two was obviously the debate schedule. If you are the chairperson of a major political party trying to put forward a fair and competitive Democratic primary between Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders. At the time, good old Lincoln Chafee was in there, Jim Webb. Why would you? I remember the first debate I covered. It was literally on the Saturday night before Christmas, when everybody's out shopping. Why in the world would you put a debate on the Saturday night before Christmas if you want people to see it? Well, the answer is she didn't want people to see it. Hillary Clinton's campaign didn't want people to have to see her because she might be a good debater in the sense of robotic, maybe not, she doesn't mess up so much. But Bernie Sanders, the more people were able to see Bernie Sanders, both in debates, at rallies, on TV, the more they liked him. As Hillary Clinton went down throughout the primaries, Bernie Sanders' approval went up. Originally, he was down 50 points, and he went up to the point where some national polls he was leading. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz put debates on Saturday nights before a major holiday. She put them on Sunday nights, competing with football. She put one debate, I think it was a debate in Iowa. She put conflicting with a very popular football game in Iowa. And, the mainstream media said, oh, you complaining about the debates. That doesn't change the playing field. That doesn't make it unfair. Of course it makes it unfair. Someone like Bernie Sanders, and in fairness, Lincoln Chafee, Jim Webb, other candidates, debates are one of the top ways for them to introduce themselves to the American people, to introduce their policies, to get in a few, figurative punches at the front runner, Hillary Clinton. Well, it's kind of hard to do that if 5 people are watching. Whereas Republicans, their debates were in prime time, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on CNN. They had an interest in people watching their circus animals. Whereas Debbie Wasserman Schultz wanted to help Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton's campaign, the whole operation was tread the water, give them platitudes, stay low, don't make big mistakes. That was her whole campaign. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz tried to rig it that way for not allowing Bernie Sanders to present himself to as many Americans as possible. Then you have the fact that Bernie Sanders' campaign, someone in Bernie Sanders' campaign, whatever the situation was, where Bernie's campaign had access to Hillary Clinton's the data, Hillary Clinton's campaign data. Instead of having an investigation, making sure that the data was no longer presentable to Bernie's campaign, what did Debbie Wasserman Schultz do? Right away, she suspended Bernie Sanders' data operation, which, if you've ever been involved with a campaign, is critical. You cannot run a campaign, particularly a few weeks before the Iowa caucus, if you don't have access to your voter files and your data. And she suspended Bernie's data file. So, you think she would have done that if it was Hillary Clinton? You think she would have suspended Hillary Clinton's access to her data file if Hillary Clinton's campaign got a little peek into Bernie Sanders' data and voter file? Of course not. So she had an itchy trigger finger, and as quickly as she could, when she had an opening to screw Bernie Sanders, she did. And a lot of these facts show up in the WikiLeaks when we saw the corruption, when a lot of that was exposed, when we saw the DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz's DNC, trying to plant stories with the media critical of Bernie, trying to mocking Bernie in emails. This was all in the emails that they thought were never going to be shown because Big Bad Russia hacked them, according to them. I've done videos on that, that whole thing is beyond ridiculous. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, both through the scheduling of the primaries, through the scheduling of the debates, suspending Bernie's access to data. I thought it was also very ridiculous of her to, when the Nevada State Convention happened, and there was zero video of any chairs being thrown, any violence other than Bernie Sanders supporters booing people like Senator Barbara Boxer, the state convention chair who was playing fast and loose with voice votes, Roberta Lang. Debbie Wasserman Schultz had the audacity to go on national television and say Bernie Sanders is endorsing violence, and chairs were thrown. This was the head of the Democratic National Party, with zero evidence of that. Zero. And that helped CNN and other outlets perpetuate this bullshit about chairs were thrown. I mean, it was bizarre. It was the bizarre followed by the bizarre followed by the bizarre, and this was all intentional. It was not subtle on her part. Whenever a candidate, whenever Bernie Sanders got screwed, it's not like Debbie Wasserman. It's not like Debbie Wasserman Schultz wanted an investigation after the New York primary when 126,000 people were purged in Brooklyn. What about Arizona? Oh, Hillary Clinton and the DNC wanted to file a lawsuit. Yeah, they didn't do anything serious. 5-hour lines. Did Debbie Wasserman Schultz do anything after the Iowa caucus when they called the race for Hillary Clinton when Bernie was down 0.2%, not even a full point, and not all the precincts were even counted, but the national press called the race? No. And lastly, Cenk did a great report on this months ago, but there was also something called the Hillary Victory Fund, which, if you remember, was this basically joint fundraising committee between the DNC, Hillary Clinton's campaign, and 33 state parties. Now, what this was supposed to do is Hillary Clinton's campaign was the money that they raised. Some of it was supposed to go to the DNC, but most of it was supposed to be funneled down to 33 state parties, state Democratic parties, for races on the state level. Well, what happened? Do you remember? Yeah, most of that money went to the DNC. Like 1% of it went to the state parties, and somehow the money that Hillary Clinton's campaign that was raised, that went to the DNC, that was supposed to be dispersed to the state parties, somehow went back to Hillary Clinton's campaign. That's called money laundering. And that was Politico's term for it, not mine. That's money laundering. And what was Debbie Wasserman Schultz's response? Oh, well, we offered Bernie Sanders the chance to have a joint fundraising committee, and he chose not to. Oh, well, that Bernie doesn't want to do money laundering with the DNC. What an asshole. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a lot of the corruption in the U.S. politics isn't like glaring red lights corruption. It's subtle corruption that the mainstream press doesn't expose. That just kind of looks like just, the Hillbots, and people say, oh, well, that's just the way business is done. No, it's corruption. When you, as the Democratic National Convention, the DNC party chairwoman, are supposed to be neutral. You're not supposed to have a dog in the race. Obviously, we know they all do, but you're not supposed to actually try to alter the race in a lopsided way to help one candidate over the other. She did that from the very beginning. And part of the blame here goes to Obama for appointing her in the first place. There was a blaring conflict of interest to appoint Hillary Clinton's 2008 co-chair when everybody knew Hillary Clinton was going to run again. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, this is not even to mention, Emma and I had some fun when we went down to cover Debbie Wasserman Schultz's race with Tim Canova. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz did a lot of shady things in her own race. First, Tim Canova. Misinformation her campaign sent out about Tim Canova's views on old senior citizens and on Israel, painting him as anti-Israel when he's nothing of the kind. He's actually Jewish, and doesn't agree with everything Israel does. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz's campaign, they were sending out misleading mailers. She started with this boogeyman. Oh, most of the money going to Tim Canova is from out of state, not from Florida. Like that's a bad thing. Tim Canova didn't raise a dime from super PACs. He got money like Bernie got from small dollar donations, and he got a lot of money from out of state. Well, I prefer that than getting money from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, and all the banks, like Debbie Wasserman Schultz did. So, and she also, by the way, was making calls personally saying, oh, you don't need to come vote. You don't need to come vote in the primary, trying to suppress the vote in Florida against Tim Canova. So, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, now she's a disgraced former DNC chair. She had to resign before the Democratic Convention. Now she'll be a backbencher in the Democratic Party, where she belongs. Frankly, she shouldn't be in Congress. She should go work at something. She's really a Republican, but that's a different story. Now, my tie, like I said, I do normally like double Ds, but not in this case. Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile has a very deceptive, she looks like a very nice, woman. She looks like a, Democratic Party elder. She was the co-chair for Al Gore. She was the chairwoman, actually, for Al Gore's campaign in 2000, which was historic. She was the first African-American to be a chair or campaign manager, that is, for a political presidential campaign. And, she's pretty much been a card-carrying Democratic National Committee member, CNN contributor for years. She was on ABC as a contributor. And when Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to resign in disgrace, Donna Brazile was supposed to come into the DNC and, drain the swamp, so to speak, as our president-elect likes to say. Well, Donna Brazile couldn't drain the swamp because she was the swamp. And we found out about that later, not to be arrogant, but pat on the back here. I was able to break the original WikiLeaks that showed her as a CNN contributor and still a DNC vice chair. This was before she was the chairwoman, leaking questions to Hillary Clinton before both a town hall on CNN and then a debate on CNN. Now, is leaking questions to Hillary Clinton the equivalent of money laundering? No. But it shows the dishonesty. It shows the complete stacking of the deck against Bernie Sanders when you have both every single levels of government in the pocket of Hillary Clinton. Federal lawmakers, state lawmakers, everybody down, all the way up and down to dog catcher was for Hillary Clinton. So Bernie Sanders was facing the political establishment on the federal level, the state level, the media, and he was also facing supposedly neutral contributors to CNN who were literally, funneling questions and information to Hillary Clinton's campaign before debates. Now, did this allow Hillary Clinton to have a knockout punch on Bernie Sanders? No, but it's corrupt because what this shows is the media is a con job too. Political analyst Donna Brazile, and she said on CNN multiple times, well, I'm staying neutral in this race. But WikiLeaks showed her sending, good luck before debates to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman. Sending let God in, let glory, or whatever ridiculous thing she was saying, basically cheering on the Clinton campaign before debates. So this is someone who was going on CNN pretending to be a neutral person, when in reality she was working behind the scenes to help one campaign. And by the way, CNN knew about it. They pretend they didn't. They knew. So she not only funneled questions. When she was confronted about it, she lied. She pretended that she was going to be on a panel herself. So she just emailed Hillary Clinton's campaign to basically ask what her position on the death penalty was. Well, it was ridiculous. There was no panel. She literally fed Hillary Clinton's campaign a question from moderator Roland Martin, another question she funneled before a debate, a presidential debate, not a town hall in Flint, Michigan. So. And then you have, sometimes the cover-up is worse than the actual crime. If Donna Brazile, when I confronted her, or when others confronted her, would have just said, you know what, I had an error in judgment, it was not the right thing to do, and I apologize, she still would be corrupt, but at least she wouldn't be a fat liar, too. But she is one of the leading propagandists for this Red Scare, the Cold War propaganda that we've been seeing left and right from the Democrats. It started at the end of the primary because Hillary Clinton's campaign didn't want to talk about WikiLeaks because the WikiLeaks showed corruption after corruption after corruption, coordination with President Obama's administration. Hillary Clinton, while she was Secretary of State, enriching her husband and the Clinton Foundation. Them playing fast and dirty on Bernie Sanders, trying to plant stories on him with the media. I mean, just things that we kind of knew in the back of our minds were happening, but, we saw it in writing. But really what you have is between Donna Brazile feeding the questions, then when confronted about it, it's Russia, 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 we are the victims of a cyber attack. We are the victims of a cyber attack. The stuff she kept on repeating in our confrontation at a debate. She kept on repeating, we have ample evidence, we have ample evidence, we have ample evidence. It got to the point where I had to turn to Emma and I was just like, I can't believe this is ridiculous. And I just walked away because I'm not going to stand there and listen to this bullshit anymore. So I think Donna Brazile, and what's really crazy is she's still the DNC chair. So you get caught basically funneling questions to one campaign. You get caught being a liar. You get caught being corrupt. And instead of having to resign right away, you stay in office until a new DNC chair comes. Does that make any sense? And now they're trying to basically sabotage Keith Ellison because they don't want a progressive as the DNC chairperson. They want one of their boys, Tom Perez, the labor secretary, who's not progressive. He's for the TPP, and Donna Brazil's trying to help get that person in. So it's tough. I mean, who do you pick? Do you pick Debbie Wasserman Schultz or Donna Brazil? I say it's a tie. I got to say it's a tie. They're both corrupt in their own ways. If you gave Donna Brazil more time as DNC chairperson, I'm pretty damn sure she could have won going away with it. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz had more time as DNC chairwoman. And there's another component about Donna Brazil that I think it really showcases how crappy the media is. Okay, again, this isn't like about me. It could have been anybody else. But the fact that I actually confronted her at the debate and didn't let her just, spin and deflect. She tried this bullshit about, you're like Trump. You're what did she say? You're attacking a woman, or it started with a B. What did she say I was doing? I don't know. She said I was basically attacking a woman and, bashing her over the head, basically. That is basically what she was doing there, is saying, what are you doing? You're not supposed to challenge me. You know how this game is played. And the rest of the media, who was looking at me like I had 7 heads, they were nobody berating, right? They were wondering, who is this guy actually challenging power? Oh, she said I was badgering her. Thank you, Laura. Because the media doesn't want to challenge power, because the media, as I've showed in other videos, are the same media yakking it up with Hillary Clinton's campaign behind the scenes and having drinks with them and having off-the-record dinners with them. So the media doesn't have an actual, they don't have any benefit on badgering or actually doing any journalism, because then they lose access. And the name of the game for them is access. What they don't know is viewers like you don't give a shit if I have access to these people. You care that I actually hold them accountable. Accountable is more important than access. And that's why the Young Turks is succeeding. That's why we're going to continue succeeding as we hire new reporters. I happen to know that there's been another reporter hired, and that announcement will be made once we reach $500,000 in the fundraising campaign we're doing. So it's tytnetwork.com/go. That's tytnetwork.com/go. I don't know what we're at now, but once we hit 500,000, that reporter will be revealed. I really like the person. I think they are going to be very good. Now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Donna Brazil, obviously played a part in Hillary Clinton both winning the Democratic primary while also losing the general election. Because the fact that they did their best to push forward this terrible candidate is why she lost, because she was a terrible candidate. They propped her up against all the data showing Bernie Sanders is better. Anybody who would say differently, anybody would say iceberg right ahead. They said, nope, you don't know what you're talking about. She's going to do better than Trump. They haven't gone nasty on Bernie yet, and all this nonsense. Well, we know what the result was. So my corruptees go to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Donna Brazil. Emma, it's your turn. Have a great weekend, guys. I'm probably taking tomorrow off, and then I'll be back at it next week.